As we know, the macroeconomic policy conditions have recently become very dynamic and volatile, and this makes investment decision-making and policy-making and implementation challenging. For this reason, the African Development Bank Group has introduced a new report called Africa's Macroeconomic Performance and Outlook Report. The reports will be released in the first quarter of every year and updated in the third quarter of every year. This new biannual report of the African Development Bank Group complements the existing report, the African Economic Outlook Report, which focuses on selected key thematic issues of importance to Africa's development and global economic dynamics. The African Economic Outlook Report for 2023 will be released in Sharm el-Sheikh in May 2023, focusing on mobilizing private sector financing for climate change and green development in Africa. Despite significant global headwinds that was caused by COVID-19 impacts, extended impacts and continuing impacts of climate change, and also heightened inflation and the spillover effects of the Russia-Ukraine war on global supply chains, Africa's economies have remained resilient. Our report estimates that in 2022, the gross domestic product of Africa grew by about 3.8%, down from the estimated 4.8% in 2021. We also estimate that there will be a stable outlook with this growth rate averaging about 4% in 2023 and 2024 respectively. This average growth seen in Africa is higher than the global average estimates of 2.7% in 2023 and 3.2% in 2024 respectively. But as usual, Africa's growth has been heterogeneous across regions. Central Africa, which was the best performing region for this year, grew by 4.7% in 2022, up from 3.6% estimated in 2021. Southern Africa managed to grow by 2.5% in 2022, despite the significant impacts of infrastructure and energy shortages in South Africa and several other global challenges of inflation and other things. This is down from 4.3% in 2021. In West Africa, we estimate about 3.6% in growth in 2022, down from 4.4% in 2021. And North Africa, we estimate 4.3% in growth in 2022, down from 5.4% in 2021. In East Africa, growth was a bit more stable, remaining at 4.2% in 2022, but down from 5.1% estimated in 2021. In addition to this growth, stability in GDP growth rates, we also see positive trends in inflation, in exchange rate moderations, fiscal deficits, and current account deficits. Inflation is estimated to have averaged about 13.8% in 2022, but we estimate it will go down to about 12.9% in 2021 and further down in 2024. It will even be lower than the average we saw before the pandemic. Also, for current account and fiscal deficits, we see that all these balances are actually going in the right direction. Very positively, we see that capital inflows into Africa after the impacts of COVID-19 has rebounded in 2022. And so we see that the continent in general is doing well compared to its peers across the regions. That evidence is clear in the fact that of all the 54 African countries, 53 of them posted positive growth with a very stable outlook in 2023 and 2024. However, there are several uncertainties to be considered. Sovereign debt will still remain a challenge, remaining still high in around 67% of GDP in 2022. And we have several other challenges that we need to consider as we keep in mind the global conditions within which and the global uncertainties within which these economic outlooks are being estimated. Some of them, we have continued impact of climate change, the losses and damages of climate change, which will create physical impacts that will exacerbate the fiscal challenges of countries.